Looks like my information reset. And let's see if we go live over here again. Perfect. All right, I'm live on YouTube now. Very good. All right, so we will start over again. Let's do it that way. So thank you very much for joining us. Finally, the YouTube subscribers and viewers. Those of you on Facebook have had me for a couple minutes now. So again, this is our monthly live Q&A session where I come online and I answer all of your scanner and radio related questions. I do this once a month. This is the first time I'm doing it on a Tuesday night. I normally run these on the first Saturday of the month, but trying something a little bit different because I was unable to get to you guys on the first Saturday of this month. So if you haven't joined us yet, this is your opportunity to reach out and ask me a direct question when it comes to scanning. This usually follows on our podcast. We have a weekly podcast called Scanner School, which you can find on any podcast device. And on the first Tuesday of the month, I answer your questions on a podcast. So this past week was the 16th installment of Ask Scanner School. So it makes a lot of sense to try and do this on a Tuesday night, and hopefully I can get more people involved and everything else. So if you have any questions, if you're watching this live, go ahead and ask your question right now into the chat box. So if you're in Facebook, you can go ahead and do that on the Facebook page. Again, it's facebook.com/Scanner School. And if you're over on our YouTube channel, our YouTube page, again, scannerschool.com/YouTube, you can go ahead and leave us a message there as well. So I do have a chat box that is set up, which I think you guys can see. And so if you're leaving a message in either location, it should show up in the chat box. So I do have some Facebook and looks like some YouTube questions not coming in yet. But if you have anything, definitely let me know. So this is definitely here for you guys. So Bob, I can still see you are in the Facebook group, and I'm not seeing any updates over there either. So hopefully, let me know if it's working. And again, far too many gadgets. I got you. Love the username over there. It says "Got It Now," which means I'm streaming over on YouTube as well. So again, this is definitely here for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And let me go ahead while I'm sitting here. I'm going to go ahead and just share this into our Facebook group while I'm sitting here. So I want to share this in a group. The group name is called Scanner School. I'm live now answering your scanner questions. All right. Josh Robb, evening, Phil. Josh, how you doing? You should have gotten my response to your email in order for you to come on as a guest on the podcast. To actually scratch that, you should have gotten my email to have your free tutoring call. So if you haven't gotten that, double check your email. I sent that out, I believe, last night before that. So when you have an opportunity, go ahead and check that out. The question you had asked originally on the previous Ask Scanner School in session 102 was a great question, and you had asked me where I saw scanning going for the next 10 years, and I really enjoyed answering that question, so much so that I turned that one over into its own podcast session. So that was the last podcast of the year, so that would be session 106, I believe, where I kind of looked at the last 10 years of scanning and where I expect the next 10 years to go. So kind of where I expect the next 10 years to go would be some, obviously some new radios from Uniden, and we'll see where Uniden kind of comes along with things now that with the passing of Paul Opitz, unfortunately. I also expect some new items from Whistler. They're not going to be able to go the next 10 years, stay in business with just sticking to the TRX1, TRX2 as their top tier item. They're going to have to come up with something new. They're going to have to either fold or do something new. And I really think they're going to come up with something new. And it wouldn't really surprise me either if there is a third party who comes along now and does something very interesting with scanning. Because now with SDRs come along, and Raspberry Pis, and the ability to almost take a small black box and put a Raspberry Pi in there with a USB stick and a touchscreen device. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something come along, something that allows you, even if it's running on Kickstarter, and I would back something like that if somebody were to make that. So just put that out there for you. So we'll see if those come true. I mean, I definitely I think we'll see a lot more DMR. We'll see a lot more NXDN. I think having more on a DMR when it comes to the businesses and stuff like that, and because with the need for more radio resources that are out there and more businesses trying to get licensed, using DMR and allowing you to use talk groups and to have split your channel in half with TDMA, it's you get more bang for your buck. So I think that's really where things are going to go to. So we got Quinte Batiste. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Will Whistler come out with a new scanner in 2020? I doubt they'll come out with one in 2020, but I would certainly expect to see something from them in the next couple of years. I can't really see them staying in business if they do not come out with something soon. John Yates is asking, where do get all the training for the Bearcat SDS 100? All right, so John, I'm working on training for the SDS 100 and SDS 200. I don't have it set up yet. So my goal right now is to finish setting up the training for my SDR training class. That is number one priority when it comes to training. I did a training session back in May, so it's been almost a year, right? So I do owe that to you guys as well. And we'll get that set up once the SDR training is published and online and ready to go, and I'm expecting that to be by the end of this quarter. We'll start working on the SDS 100, SDS 200 training, and this is going to be a soup to nuts type of training course. So it's going to be modular, which will allow you to kind of come in and basically take the radio out of the box, get used to using it, get it set up, and get you to a point where you know pretty much everything there is to know about the radio. We'll probably break it down into two parts, so I'll probably allow it to or set it up so that there'll be a scanner radio half of the training, and then there'll be a sentinel half of the training. So it'll allow you to jump onto either side of it. So John, really to answer your question, I would expect that training to be out midway point in this year. That is my goal, and I'm trying my best to get that to happen. So right now we're on track to have that happen, but we'll see how things go. Paul Teal is in the chat over here on Facebook, and he says, greeting from Tulsa. Paul, good to see you. And interesting that I am seeing half of your questions come up on the chat, and half of them aren't, which kind of has me worried. What's the status of my goal to reach 1,000 5-star reviews? Did I get there? Was it 1,000 5-star reviews, or was it 100 5-star reviews? I think it was 100, maybe. I don't know. And you know what? I'm not sure how close we got to that. So let's take a look. Let's see if I can find it. So I'll go to scannerschool.com/iTunes, and I have not yet picked the winner of the free consulting call for that. I will be looking for that as well coming up shortly. So we got 91 ratings, so I came up a little shy of the goal of 100 5-star reviews or 100 reviews, but doing pretty good on that. So I think we came close enough to the goal on that as well. So thank you, Paul, again for your submission on that and for your review. So let's see, Arthur Altrack. Phil, checking in to support Scan School. Great to see you and speaking to you at Ham Radio University. Yeah, I was over at Ham Radio University at 9 a.m. and it goes till about 2:30 or 3:30. And I have been fortunate enough to have been asked to give a scanner radio presentation for almost close to 10 years. If it hasn't been 10 years, it's really close to 10 years now. And if you haven't been able to make it to Ham Radio University, or if you're off of Long Island and actually can't come down here, I do have it on my YouTube channel, scannerschool.com/YouTube. I did put last year's presentation of HRU, including my slides, online. So it's about an hour long. It's a pretty decent presentation, if I might say so myself. And you can go ahead and you can watch a presentation over there on our YouTube page. Now, again, if you prefer to listen to it while you're in the car, I'm actually looking for it right now. It's session 57. So if you go to scannerschool.com/session 57, you can actually take a listen to the presentation from last year, which wasn't too much different than the presentation from this past year. All right, so let's see if you have any questions coming in right now on Facebook. There's not much here on Facebook. Let me make sure that the YouTube group is coming through. I don't see anything coming in on, which is strange. No comments on. Oh, there they are. Here we go. It looks like Restream's got a bot that's rebroadcasting Facebook over to YouTube. That's pretty interesting. Every time I do this, every once a month, it's things a little bit different. So just out of curiosity too, how is my video quality? Because I know I had issues with video quality in the past, and I'm looking at it right now on YouTube, and it's really not looking so super great. Though if I look over here on, see if it looks like on Facebook. Facebook looks pretty good. So I know every month it's a little bit of a learning curve with what it is that with the live feed. So maybe we'll get it really polished by next month. Josh did get your email. Thank you. He did get a 436 for Christmas. Awesome fiance that you have. Yeah, that's pretty cool that you got that from your fiance. Very, very cool. Any tricks I need to know about using the 436? Also a 536 owner. So let's see. We got. I'm just trying to read through some of the questions here. Video quality is good on Facebook. Video 10.2 on Facebook. And video and audio okay here via YouTube. Excellent. All right, very good. So it's not too bad at all, I guess. So it's been pretty poor, and I kind of had some tickets opened up, and it's nice to see that we're back in business. I got OBS running, so you got the nice little thing down here at the bottom of the screen. Also on the side, you get the chat box, which is always cool. And it allows me also to share my screen in Windows. And if I had my iPhone actually hooked up, I can give you a top-down view of a camera, so I can actually bring a radio into the screen as well, which is really, really cool. So I got Paul, I got your question. Bob, I got your question. And Josh, will go to yours. So the 436, 536, any hints and tricks? Yeah, I would say forget about the favorites list quick keys unless you want to pull your hair out when you're getting started. I don't use my favorite list quick keys. What I typically do is I just set up all these favorites lists, and I go into the menu setting and I turn all the lists off, and then I cycle through the ones I want to put in there. So I usually name the list like with the state, so it'll be NY hyphen and then Nassau or NASS then hyphen and then what it is. So it might be NY-NASS-PD. Bad example because they're encrypted now, but you get NY-NASS-FD and then NY-SUFF or Suffolk. So again, don't forget the width on the screen. It doesn't line wrap. So if you put too long of a name of the favorites list, you're not going to be able to really see it that well on the 436. 536 is much better because you have a nice wide screen on there as well. Definitely recommend putting on the enhanced display or the extended display. So that's really cool to be able to see all the extra information in there as well. And don't forget that you have a service type in the scanner as well. So if, say, you're using your database and you program it, it's the example I always use because this is where I got burnt. I was setting up a list to listen to my local power company, the utilities. And because I want to know if, anything were to happen, I wanted to have the gas company and the lights, right, the power company in the scanner. So I shut off all my favorites lists. I turn on my utilities list, and the scanner says there's nothing left to scan. I can't figure it out why. I have it assigned with favorites list quick key. That was kind of my first mistake. I got rid of the favorites list quick key. I started then just playing around, and I could not get the scanner to come out of nothing left to scan. Then it dawned on me after spending quite a bit of time that there's the service type also in the scanner, and I had utilities turned off. So in your Sentinel programming, go in there and just turn on all of these service types. This way you're not going crazy trying to listen to something and it's just not coming in. So that's typically one of the reasons why you wouldn't hear something you expect to hear is because the service types are disabled. Now, if you're not using Sentinel and you're doing it from the front of the scanner, you can only toggle the service types on or off if those service types are physically in the scan list that it is that you're monitoring. So it kind of makes it a little bit of a difficult situation to try and do that. So really great question. Best of luck with both scanners. They are awesome radios. Upgrade the micro SD card. I think you can max them out. I think it... I'm not going to give you the wrong answer. I'm not really sure off the top of my head what they are, but I think they come with a 2 or 4 gig card, and you can definitely take them up higher than that. So I know I've maxed mine out, which is cool. The other thing to check out too on there is the replay option. That's default. That's set off. So I'll go ahead and change that to a real value like 30 seconds or 60 seconds. This way you can actually use the replay function on the scanner. If there's a call you missed, you can go ahead and hit replay and of course, replay it back. So that's always a really handy feature to have, especially if the fiance is in the background chatting with you and you kind of miss something. So well worth it. All right. Bob is asking, is there anything about an upgraded RTL SDR version 3 dongle, or is it one of the best bands of the buck? Not really sure about that question to answer truthfully there, Bob. I use the Uniden SDR dongles, and I don't have them on my desk. I actually just had them on this computer over here, and they're in my laptop bag right now. So I use the Uniden dongles. I'm not using the RTL SDRs. I'm very happy with the Uniden. I think they work well for what they are, especially when they're $30. You get about 2 megahertz sweep out of them, and they work really well. They're stable as a rock at this point. They're not drifting. The old school ones, the ones that came out when they were the DVBs, those things used to drift all over the place. You had to wait for them to warm up. They got really hot. They had MCX connectors on them instead of SMAs. So I think no matter what you go for, if you're going to go for the RTL SDR V3 or the Uniden, I think you'll do just fine. They all have the TCXOs on there, and I think they're all pretty much pretty good at this point. So you'll be all good on that as well. Paul's asking about Butel software. He's thinking about getting that to improve his ability to program his SDS 100. Will that also work with an SDS 200, or will that require an additional license? Will one program file work for both? Yes, 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 and yes. So ARC 536 will also work on the... I believe ARC 536 will work on the SDS 100 and 200. That's a good question now, because I am pretty sure it does. You know what? Great opportunity to go ahead and swap screens here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to click on this, and let's see if I can bring this up. And let's just see what happens over here. So I'm just going to click on this and click on this. And then I'm going to go back to OBS. And let's see, it's going to be Google Chrome. There we go. Okay. Let's transition to this screen over here. And let's just check it out. Butel.nl. And if we go to the SDS 100, let's see, ARC 536 Pro. Yeah, so ARC 536 Pro will work on the SDS 100 and 200, as well as the 436 and 536, which was my my initial thought, but I wanted to double check that before I give you guys an answer. Being that Sentinel works for all 4 radios, you would expect the Butel software to work on them all as well. I do like using the Butel software. Now, truthfully, I use Sentinel to pretty much program up the majority of my SDS and BCD 436, 536 radios. It does a very good job at getting the information quickly from the database over to the radio. When I want to go in here and I want to fine-tune things, or if I want to take a file from, say, my XT line or the 996, 325, or something like that, it makes it easier to do it with Butel. If you're copying from Excel, I use Butel too, and I set up my Airshow live feed. So if I'm doing something that's really not in the database, or something that's very custom, I'll go right into Butel and do the programming through Butel. So it's a great piece of software. In fact, I also plan on tying this into my SDS 100 and 200 training as well, so that you'll have the ability to not only use Sentinel, but also third-party software as well. So really great question on that one. Let me see what else we got over here for you. Paul. So no, you don't need an additional license, and one programming file will work for all of them. So hopefully that answers that question as well. Let's see, my transition is blank, so let's transition back over here. It must be when I lowered the screen, you guys lost the other feed. All right, we have just over 5 minutes over here. As a reminder, anybody who's watching who is a $5 Patreon supporter, so that means that you are an extra credit supporter. That's $5. You'll get another Q&A session as soon as this one ends. So I'm going to end this one at 9:30 at the bottom of the hour, and then start up my Patreon only feed. So for those of you who are Patreon supporters, you'll get another session with me immediately following this as well. Brandon's asking, how do I record clearly on the 996P2 used in FreeScan? Very good question, Brandon. In 2 weeks, we'll be having a conversation with Garrett Fowle, and we will be talking about recording the audio coming out of your scanner. And it was a podcast I recorded with him a couple months back when I had a cold. And so I don't really sound all that great, but the content in it is great. I listened to it today again during work so that I could refresh myself and actually what was in there and make sure that the content was still good, which of course it is. And you want to record clearly on the 96P2 using FreeScan. So you got to make sure that your levels are set correctly. So you want to try and use the line output on the scanner if at all possible. Bring that into the line input basically on the scanner, on the computer rather. Chances are though, sometimes some sound cards, depending if you have a desktop or a laptop, it might be a microphone input. The microphone input's going to have some gain on it. So you're going to want to set the scanner volume just high enough if you're using the external jack, so that you're not overdriving the input. Too little audio coming in is going to give you a hum because you're going to want to amplify the noise in the computer. So what I always try and do is I usually set it for about 11 o'clock on the scanner. Give it a listen on the computer to make sure it's all sounds good, and that should work. If you use something like NOAA Weather Radio, if you have that, that's a good indicator as to how loud it could be because NOAA Weather runs 24/7. So it'll allow you to set up the audio so that you can go back into scan. So that's really a short answer on that one. So it really all depends on your scanner, your setup. Make sure you're using a mono cable. Don't want to use stereo because it's a mono connection on the output as well. I also understand too that those scanners also may not have a true ground on it. They use an op amp in there, so it's kind of like a floating system. So I haven't had any problems with my scanners causing problems. I'm running about 5 scanners into my desktop, running ProScan to feed to the internet, so they all work pretty well that way. So, but just watch your levels, and you'll get it set up fine. So if you have a follow up as to how it sounds, let me know. But if I don't answer it now, we'll get to it in a little bit. So again, if anybody who's watching this on a replay, don't forget you can ask your questions at scannerschool.com/ask, where I answer your questions on a podcast. And if you are going to leave me a message over there on that page, you can go ahead and leave me a message on our voicemail number, which is 516-308-2885, or also on our speak pipeline. Now, again, scannerschool.com/ask will have the links to all that over there. If you leave me a voicemail, either via SpeakPipe or via our 516 number, I put you in the running to win a free consulting call or a tutoring call, which is me basically helping you one-on-one. So we do a screen share, and that allows me really to help you out with whatever it is that you need help with. Of course, if you want to write into me and ask me a question, then that's fine. You just won't be in the drawing for that as well. So let's see. We have Christian is asking, what's a good site to buy scanner electronic parts? USB on the side of my Whistler WS1080 is not working. You could try Mouser. You could try DigiKey. That would be where I would first look to get components and parts for electronic parts. I bought it from DigiKey many years ago. Used to buy ICs and capacitors, resistors, breadboards, and that kind of stuff. But it's Digikey. The other one's Mouser, Mouser, I believe. It's been years since I looked at that, but that's where I was buying my stuff from. Brandon, perfect. Thank you so much. Would you recommend a 35 millimeter to a USB? 35 millimeter to USB. As far as USB input on a sound card, yeah, I mean those cheap sound cards that you can buy on Amazon, they work pretty well. I have a live feed running right now with one of those sound cards, so they work really well as well. And I think they're less than $10 a piece. In fact, I might even have two over here on the side. I was going to play around with another live feed and a Raspberry Pi. So that's where I would go with that. So with that, I'm going to double check to make sure we have nothing pending over here. It looks like we're doing really well on... Let's see. I see it online. Is there a place that can fix it out there? Yeah, reach out to me offline. I have a buddy of mine who does radio repairs for me, so it might be something he might be willing to look at for you. So just reach out to me, Phil@scannerschool.com. I will put you in contact with him, and we'll see if he's willing to repair the USB connector for you on that radio. So let me just go over here to the YouTube channel, see if I didn't miss anything. Let's see, restream. I gotta turn off this restream bot. That's kind of annoying, but looks like we're doing all right over here. Everything is just restream bot. Okay, excellent. All right, guys, I'm going to flip over and transition to this one over here. So stand by 1 second, and here we go. So before I split, I remind you that I am going to head over to my Patreon-only feed after this. So for those of you who are the $5 per month Patreon supporters are going to get a very special one-on-one with me after this. So if you're on Patreon, go ahead and check out the Patreon page. There's a link to the next live video that's going to be over there. So again, if you've never checked out the podcast, we release a podcast every Tuesday. It's called Scanner School. We're on every single podcast platform there is. So if you want to listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeart, Google, you can even tell your Alexa to listen to us. We're all over there as well. And again, our website is scannerschool.com. Over on this side over here, that's the way that the hand works today, you'll see where you can reach out to us. So again, we have a great community on Facebook. We have our YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, of course, the website, and also we have a brand new club called scannerschool.club, which is another way for you guys to reach out and communicate. So if you're not a fan of Facebook, I understand a lot of you guys don't like Facebook, you can go over to scannerschool.club. It's like a wall, kind of like what Facebook has, but not with the big brother watching. So again, I want to thank everybody who's asked a question tonight. For all of you who are watching us live, thank you so much. For those of you who catch us on the replay, I'll continue to watch the comments below and answer you as I can. But again, don't forget to check out scannerschool.com/ask to ask your questions. All right, guys, we will catch you again next month. Thank you all for joining us here. And for everybody who is a $5 Patreon supporter, give me 2 seconds to close down this feed and start the next one back up again. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll catch you again next month. Bye-bye.